Before I get started with More Than Words, the Power of Connection Through Education, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. So I am 24 years old. I studied criminal justice, and I am now a TEFL teacher here in Armenia. I'm also American, if you couldn't tell by my English accent. And so you're probably wondering, how did an American girl end up teaching English in Armenia? And I think it always goes back to my education mattered to me when I was younger. I've always loved connecting with people and hearing people's stories, even maybe being a little bit nosy at times. And so if you don't know what the Peace Corps is, it's a US government organization or volunteer program, and they send people to different countries for about 2 years, and we're here to build cultural relationships and impact communities in a positive way. So when I first started learning about the Peace Corps, I applied and said, put me anywhere. It doesn't matter to me what I'll do because there's different sectors. And they said, okay, you'll be teaching English in Armenia. And I said, that's great. So this could go one of two ways. Either this will be the best because I'm a native speaker and so I know English pretty well, right? Except it might be horrible because I don't know the English grammar rules. And before you judge, I'm sure you as Armenians don't know the Armenian grammar rules that well either, right? And so, it's funny because I'm still learning Armenian today. I've been here for about 1.5 years and I'm still learning. And I think it gives me a connection to my students because I understand when you don't want to read a huge text in English or you don't want to do your homework, because I can kind of act the same way with learning Armenian. But there is a difference, and that is you as Armenian students have the mindset to learn another language. Most Armenians are considered polyglots, meaning they know multiple languages. So you know, obviously Armenian, Russian, some people know English, German, your other European languages, right? And that sets you apart because having the mindset to learn another languages improves your memory, improves your skill set and problem-solving abilities, and encourages your academic achievement. And so why is it important to learn English, first of all? Because I need to know Armenian since I live in Armenia. And trust me, sometimes I struggle. I'll tell a little quick story. To set the scene, my friend from America was visiting. We were in the KFC that attaches to the huge Yerevan city in Yerevan. And she was feeling sick, so she said, can you go into the store and get me a bottle of water? So I walk into the store. It's huge, right? It's a big store. I walk all the way down. I get the bottle of water. I pay for it, but I didn't get a receipt or a check. And so I'm walking all the way back to the KFC, and a security guard stops me. And I know some Armenian words, right? But sometimes I get confused. So excuse my pronunciation, but ganel is to buy, right? I have bought. And gitnel is I have found. So I was saying to the security officer who stopped me, like, Gitnellum, like, I found this. And he's probably looking at me like, okay, like, I'm just gonna let you go because I don't even know what you're trying to tell me. So that is just one instance that I've had with the Armenian language. And so that goes back to, why is it important to know a language, and why is it important to know English specifically? It's estimated that 1.5 billion people speak English as native and non-native speakers. So why should you care to learn the English language? And it's because English can open not only your perspective, but your opportunities. It can give you career opportunities because the English language is incorporated in so many topics like medicine, law, science, media, not only education. And if you know English, it can set you apart to get a better job either globally or work with international companies, or education-wise, maybe even studying abroad. But I think the most important thing that a language can do is connect with other people. Knowing other people from different languages increases your worldly views, your attitude, and most importantly, your compassion. And so this is kind of a start of a bad joke, but you walk into a bar and there's an Armenian surfer dude, 2 American girls, a woman from Serbia, and an Australian businessman all sitting down, right? But those are people that I have actually met because I like to stay at this hostel in Yerevan, and so I meet all kinds of people like that. And it's really inspiring because not only, first off, we can communicate because of the English language, but number 2, it's so inspiring to hear their stories and their journeys, and it opens your perspective to new ways of living. Now, here's another just side story for you. I was in that same hostel one time, and people always like to ask, oh, why are you here? Why did you come to Armenia? And so I love to flex or brag that I live in Armenia. And so I said, I was talking to this woman and she said, oh, I'm traveling for this and this. What about you? And I'm like, well, I actually live here, And she said later in the conversation, so tell me what it's like living in a hostel. And I said, what? I said, no, I live in Armenia, right? But I wouldn't have the opportunity to connect with people like this if one, the English language wasn't popular, because as I said before, not only is the English language useful and popular, it's both because it has native speakers and non-native speakers connecting all over the world, right? So 1, because English language is important, and number 2, I have the openness to get to know people. And I think throughout my experience here, the most important thing that I have learned is that all humans are the same. It does not matter the different language or the different culture, because we all laugh at the same jokes. We all cry and shed tears at the same things. And we all have such human reactions like smiles, regret, forgetfulness, and that is what really connects us in the world. And so speaking of connection, I love connecting with my students because as a TEFL instructor, I teach with an Armenian counterpart at a school here, and I have clubs. And my students are very inspiring to me, and they also encourage me to learn better Armenian, which goes one of 2 ways. Either I will say a word like lavash, and they will say lavash, in an American accent. Or I will say the most simple word, like aprek, and they say, whoa, Miss Kylie, your Armenian is so good. And I'm like, yes, thank you, I know, even though I'm still learning. And, it's not only about inspiring each other in the classroom, because really, in life, not only in school, but in life, is everything a learning moment. And so with that, you as youth, especially here in Gyumri, Armenia, are inspiring. You have the ability to implement enormous change in your communities and in your classroom. But first, there needs to be a shift in your mindset about learning a language or education in general. And that is, your education belongs to you. It does not belong to your parents. It does not belong to your teachers. Your teachers and outside factors are there to guide you through your education, but your education belongs to you. It is your job to get good grades. It is your job to care about the material you are learning and help each other in the classroom. So it is time to take responsibility for your own education. That being said, If you are the type of student to really care about your education, first off, you should be proud. I'm proud of you. Second, you have another responsibility, and that is to help your peers in the classroom, right? You need to be encouraging other students to learn like you are. So what are ways that we can encourage other students, right? The first is to learn from model behavior, meaning you as a student need to show, like doing your homework, being in attendance, paying attention to your teachers, okay, so that other students will copy your actions. The second is you can explain your answers to students with informal tutoring. It does not have to be formal. You do not have to meet outside of the classroom to make an impact inside of the classroom. Your teachers might not have the best way of explaining an answer. If you know the answer, you should be helping your students, explaining to them, because you can relate to them more and maybe explain it in a different way. And the last option is encouragement. Encourage those students who feel behind. Encourage those class clowns that aren't paying attention, right? You have so much power in the classroom to have a positive change. And so with that, you can impact your communities so much by being youth here. Not only in your community, but it starts within your classroom. And so I want to leave you with a few things, and that is learning another language is not only about connection. Learning language is about connection. It's not only about just speaking words and understanding. It's about connecting with people, whether it's face-to-face or online, right? I was asking my students before I came here, what inspires you to learn English? And a lot of them said, oh, I want to learn the media, I want to learn about global news, I want to keep up to date with things. But most importantly, Miss Kylie, I want to be able to talk to you. And so connection is the most important tool. And the most important tool to build those connections are languages. So I want to leave you with this. Encourage each other in the classroom. Speak to different people who have different views than you. Expand your perspective and your knowledge, because that is the way you will impact your community. And besides learning words, besides sharing lessons, and besides connecting with those people, every single part of that builds your future. So please, go build your future well.